Hey team, and welcome to the video version of the Funnily Enough podcast. This is where you get the raw, unedited version of the interviews that we do on the show. If you're more of an audio person, then head over to Apple Podcasts or any of the platforms that you like that supports podcasting, and you can listen to the fully edited thing there with intros, outros, and all the fun little jingles. However, if you're more of a video person, then that is coming right up. Mary Smith, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much, Gavin. I'm looking forward to this. My accent, I know it is going to go all Scottish on you.
That's what I like to hear. We don't have any other fellow Scots on the show, so this is a first, which is exciting.
Wow, I'm honored.
So let's get straight into the important questions then, or maybe the serious question. Have you ever caught a haggis, Mary?
Caught one? They throw them. I've definitely eaten them, and I'm actually a fan of haggis. I like haggis with plenty of neeps and tatties and washed down with a wee bit of whiskey.
Yes, I think that, whiskey is becoming a bit of a theme of this show. Like we've had Rand Fishkin on and various other people that really like whiskey, but I'm one of those people that just doesn't like it.
Okay.
So I'm currently trying to do my best to become a whiskey connoisseur. So we can maybe chat about whiskey like off the record another time. But I actually want to dive into the kind of Scotland thing with you because I'm really interested in your backstory in terms of you lived in Scotland for 2 decades, I believe,
I sure did.
and now live over in sunny San Diego. And for me, San Diego is one of my favorite cities ever, and Edinburgh is also one of my favorite cities ever, which is where I currently live. And I'd like to know, when you made the decision to move over to San Diego and America, was that like a tactical decision in terms of, did you feel like there was more opportunity over in America, or was it something that you did out of personal reasons, passion? What kind of prompted that move from Scotland over to America?
Yeah. Well, so I left school really young. I was actually a year ahead of myself, and I'm pretty sure you still can. I left school before my 16th birthday. You can leave school at 16 in the UK and Scotland anyway. So I was like, all my peers were 16 and I was still 15. But the way the birthdays work out, whatever. So I left in May and I turned 16 in the August and had my 16th birthday at my first job. So it's like, I just could not wait to get out into the workforce and earn my own money. My dad never really had any money. He was a single parent raising 5 girls by himself. I was originally born in Canada, but both my parents are 100% Scottish. My dad was born in Edinburgh, mom in Dumbarton. But so for the first 20 years of my career, or thereabouts, roughly 20, I was an employee. I was always an employee. And then when I was 32, I just really got kind of like this entrepreneurial, desire. And I started going to classes and start really learning and immersing myself in the world of business. And that was in the late 90s, just as the internet, the World Wide Web is coming kind of, becoming more popular. And so all of 1998, I was putting together business plans to launch my own business, training, speaking, personal development, coaching, such like. I started to get some clients. I did a lot of work with attorneys, and literally going into my bank to get a small business loan to really kick it into gear and get launched. And that's when I got the invitation out of the blue from a long lost friend I hadn't seen for a while, about 5 years. And he had moved to San Diego, and he was like, Mari, what are you doing right now? Would you like to come to San Diego? I think you'd love it there. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like all the angels singing. I thought like God is speaking through him. I'm like, I'm not supposed to set my business up in the UK. I meant to set it up in California. Done. I'm there. And I was so broke, Gavin. I got to tell you, I had 50 British pounds to my name, 2 suitcases, wow. This one person, and I didn't know how the heck I was going to make it work and get legal and all of that. But I just knew I was supposed to. I gave myself 30 days. I had a 30-day return ticket because obviously I couldn't come in with a one-way ticket. So, and sure enough, I did. Day 29, I'm like, ta-da, it all worked out. I bartered with my immigration attorney. I built him a website in exchange for his legal fees.
Wow, amazing. So it sounds like a pretty crazy journey then. So what was the trigger? Was there a trigger point when you were 32 to go from employed to entrepreneurial? Like, have you always had that entrepreneurial tendencies, or was there a trigger moment that happened and you were like, right, I need to actually leave this job and get into running my own business? What was that? What did that look
Yeah,
like?
gosh, I'm trying to think if it was an actual defining moment or if it was more one of those just kind of exponential like realizations over time where I'm like, my dad was always an entrepreneur. He ran his own bakery business in Canada for the longest time. And then he was pretty much self-employed his whole life. And so I just realized that I just had this deep desire to take back control of my life because I was like, well, this whole employee thing is kind of limited. I just am not really making a big breakout in my career, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I just felt like I love personal development. I was always, from a very early age, I would do like, before the internet in the 80s or the 90s, I would do like correspondence courses, and I was always listening to tapes and really date myself. But when I got invited to come to San Diego, I was suddenly like, oh my God, like Deepak Chopra and Tony Robbins and Louise Hay and Jack Canfield. I was like, all these people whose books were on my shelf. I'm like, oh, they're going to be my neighbors. So yeah.
I hear you. I find San Diego a really inspiring place, and I think it's
Hmm.
because of that. It's the people that are on your bookshelves that you look up to are then just there, which
Yeah.
is something that's really cool. But I'd quite like to dive into that personal development side of things that you talk about, because I think that this is a fundamental part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, is that you've got this, I guess, life or freedom where your business can reach unlimited amounts of money or growth or whatever you want to achieve. And also your
Yeah.
personal life does too, because you can essentially design a life for yourself. And it was on your Instagram that I saw you carried a card. I think it was maybe a year or so ago that you posted this, but you carried a card around that said, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? And so I want to ask you that question. What is the answer to that question? If you knew that you couldn't fail, what would you do? What would your life look like?
Oh, there's just so much. It's funny. I was chatting to my friend Mike Stelzner, as you know him well, social media
Yep.
examiner, just the other day, and he's like, "Mari, I heard you're going to do a podcast." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm starting to talk about podcasts because it's been on my to-do list for 10 years," and I'm not kidding. It's the same with like building up my YouTube channel, doing more with LinkedIn. I've been so all in on Facebook and Instagram and teaching and speaking and training, and it's important. It's really important to focus. I've always thought of focus as an acronym for follow one course until successful. The key, though, the key is that everybody gets to decide, right? You decide what level you want to go to. And I've had experience over the years where, I've hired a mentor, spent multiple six figures on just one mentor one year. And her vision for me was not mine. She wanted me to build this huge, massive agency with hundreds of employees. And we start down that path, and I'm like, oh, this is not for me. And it's
Yeah.
so important to be true to yourself. So if I knew I couldn't fail, I would be hiring people. I would hire not hundreds of employees necessarily, but I would definitely be adding more people faster to my team to be able to free up my time. And I really would love to have a television show. I'd have more books. I'd do a TED Talk. I would be on even bigger stages. I would really be reaching a lot more people and producing more content, more courses, more masterminds, and really moving away from kind of the day-to-day, and I hesitate to call it anything derogatory, but just the day-to-day work that I find myself doing that I could be delegating and I should be delegating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting insight because, and I've spoken to the likes of Chris Brogan, Mark Schaefer about this exact topic, which is
Yeah.
when you, I think there's a tendency in entrepreneurial culture, and I want to do that in inverted commas to people that are
Yeah.
listening, and also perhaps maybe the speaker world to an extent as well, where we try and make everything look like it's perfect. And
Yeah.
on we're posting on Instagram, and I'm not saying this is you at all,
Yeah.
just a general observation, that everything's perfect. We're the alpha, we're the best, we're invincible. And I think it's really interesting and nice to hear that even the big names, the big speakers, have their own fears. They get mentors just like everyone else. They have these things that they want to do, but they're held back for certain reasons. So I think that's a really interesting insight, and the people that are listening or watching um, should take that away. That we're,
Hmm.
I think the thing I'm trying to say here is we're all human at the end of the day.
We
So
are. Yeah, and I got to tell you, you know what? It's like even there's times where if I've like overbooked myself just a bit too much, I said yes just one too many times, and I'm out there on the road and I'm schlepping my suitcase and I'm yet checking into yet another hotel, and I feel a little draggy, and I'm like, oh, who put this on my calendar again? Oh yeah, me. But it's like there are moments like that, but fortunately they're fleeting and you kind of get reconnected. I think self-care is crucial, is absolutely crucial to being a successful entrepreneur, is getting enough sleep, exercise, eating well, water, all that good stuff, but also knowing yourself well enough if you get energized with crowds or you get drained with crowds. And I'm a little of both. I'm very extroverted, but when I go out on the road, I would rather stay at home and order room service and have dinner by myself and conserve my energy than go out to some big wild party. So it's a balance. It's a constant striving for some good balance.
that's really interesting as well, because, and I want to ask you what your version of this is, because if I
Yeah.
speak on stage, I often go back to my hotel room and I'm like, I can't really be bothered going out to the big networking party, booze up, but at the same time, I feel like I maybe should for networking reasons.
Yep.
So, what does
Mm.
that? How do you balance that? Are you someone that likes? Well, you just say you like to prefer to stay in the hotel room, order room service, then go out. But do you sometimes have that kind of that almost struggle that you think you should be doing something, but you're like deep down
Yeah.
inside, you want to be doing that other thing?
I give myself options. I'm very blessed to work with a personal stylist for over 7.5 years. So I never have to worry about my wardrobe, which is such a blessing. I want to apply that to a whole bunch of other areas of my life. But so I go to an event and I will have my dress for stage, my dress for if I'm just an attendee, an outfit for a cocktail party. And so I know, okay, if I want to get changed and go to this cocktail party, I can. But at the same time, in that moment, if I'm like, let's say I'm doing the opening keynote the next day, I'm like, you know what? I just need to have a hot bath and a glass of wine or whatever it might be. I don't really drink much, but just feeling into what does my body need, what does my soul need right there in that moment. And if it feels like, you know what, I'm going to pop downstairs for half an hour, I'm not even going to get changed, we're just going to have the same dress on, whatever, nobody cares, and I'm going to just pay attention to what I want and need in that moment, and always giving myself permission to say yes and to say no, obviously keeping my commitment and over delivering with what I've agreed to do with the talk, but everything else really is ancillary.
I love that. Listen to yourself, and I think that's a key part. Give yourself permission.
Yeah.
Like if you don't feel like doing something, don't beat yourself up for not feeling
Right.
that way, because it's just going to make
Yeah.
things worse.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, I'm going to interrupt proceedings because it's time
Okay.
for a game, and this game is one of my
Oh,
favorites. It's the 5 second rule. Have you ever heard of
okay.
it before?
No.
Okay, so the rules are simple. I've got 10 cards here, and on each card there's a statement, and it might be something like name 3 types of bird. I read out the statement, and then you've got 5 seconds to give me your answer. Uh,
Okay.
as I say, 10 cards, 5 seconds each card, and you're going to be competing against all the other people that are on this show. So we'll see how you do.
All right.
I find this game is almost a better way to get to know someone than the questions that I ask, because
Oh, that's
you
funny.
get to know whether someone's competitive or they're like laid back. So the first question isn't actually a question of the game. It's, do you want to go red cards or yellow cards? Yellow's slightly harder.
Red.
Red. Let's do red. Okie doke. Make sure I've got 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. You ready?
Yep.
Let's do this. Name 3 satellite TV channels.
No idea. Don't watch TV.
That's
I
a good
don't know.
answer. Name
Could make it up.
3. Let's go. Name 3 breakfast foods.
Cereal, haggis, sausages.
Yes, I like it. Topical. Name 3 people that you might find in a hospital.
Nurse, a doctor, and a patient.
Nice. Name 3 words that rhyme with snow.
Blow, Mo and slow.
Just in time. Name 3 things that are silent.
Oh, oh,
Time.
silent.
Time is out. That's a
Hmm.
tricky one. That's a
That's a
tricky one.
tricky one because I was going to say whisper, but whisper's not fully silent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually don't.
Buzzer.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how to answer that one. Let's go. Name 3 summer outdoor activities.
Football, surfing, and stand-up paddleboarding.
Nice. Now, being a Scot, Mary, but living in America, do you class football as soccer or
Soccer, exactly. Yeah,
yes?
that's rugby.
Good.
It's
Good.
rugby and football.
Yes.
Everybody got it wrong outside the UK.
Good answer. Name 3 bad habits.
Chewing your nails. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know. Smoking and drinking.
Time out on that one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go for name 3 things beginning with the letter H.
Haggis, horses, and hay.
Nice. My girlfriend would love those answers. Haggis,
Okay.
horses, and hay. Name 3 princesses.
Oh, Eugenie, Kate, and Diana.
That is your 10, Mary, and you
There we
scored
go.
a very respectable 7 out of 10. That's a
Mm.
that's a good score. So
See, I should have picked the yellow now.
I wonder what we would have got. 7 out of 10, I think that's very good. It's not the
Okay.
highest, it's not the lowest, but it's definitely in the upper maybe top 25%, we'll say. I,
Okay.
I can't give away too much based on when people are listening to this episode.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Amazing. So what I'd love to get to know is maybe dive a little bit deeper into the business of Mary Smith. And something that I would love to ask you is you obviously run a business around your name, the personal brand, Mary.
Yeah.
How, because I feel that probably a lot of businesses come to a point, and this is something that I've had to deal with as well, where they are, let's say, solopreneur, sole trader. They come up, it's their name, their personal brand, and then it comes to a point where they reach capacity and they need to hire staff and outsource things. But at the same time, their clients are expecting them and their name
Hmm.
and want to work with them. So how do you run your business as Mary Smith, but have staff? And how do you deal with people wanting you when they might get your team? Do you
Yeah.
ever get any
So
backlash there?
yeah, sometimes, but this is something I'm glad this is coming up as a question, Gavin, because it's just part of my innate nature. I don't know, my Quaker upbringing, my dad's effect on me, but I just have always been a real stickler for not delegating my voice. So if you're interacting with me in first person, it's always me. Nobody ever gets to speak as if they're me. And I know different folks out there have different ways of doing that, and that's fine. So for the longest time, like on my Facebook page, I created a separate Facebook page. It's simply called Team Mari, and I have my community members, community managers. They'll log in as the Team Mari page, and then they're engaging with people and they're signing off their first name. On Twitter, I've really struggled with that, and because the Twitter will award obviously engagement from the account, and I literally in the last few weeks only just decided to, when I'm replying, that I'll sign off my name, and then Chloe on my team, who actually also is in Scotland,
I know, Chloe.
she'll sign off with her name. And so now we're engaging through my account, but we've made it very clear. I had put up a notice, I had it pinned to the top for a while. That's a little tricky. Email is totally different. When people email Mari@marismith.com, I haven't answered that email in like a decade. That always goes to
Oh.
my team. And so then I have a separate email or a whole bunch of emails that different people know how to reach me. And just, it's really important to like pre-filter the email content that comes to you so that you're only answering a certain, number of inboxes. But occasionally do get folks, I think for me, it's not so much that they are disappointed when they can't reach me directly. They're very understanding. They're actually quite surprised sometimes when, Mari, is that really you? So it's like, is it really you responding to me? And people understand. So, yeah.
Do you think it's perhaps a fear or something that holds kind of one man band solopreneurs back, thinking that their clients will be upset if it's not them, rather than it actually being a real problem?
I think what it is more likely is the business owner deciding what kind of business they want to build. Because coaches and mentors will tell you, oh, if you're building with an exit strategy, you need a name separate from yourself. But that is so not true, because there are so many name brands in the world that are still existing today, and the founder has long passed away, and they've grown into major empires. Think of any kind of design company, things like that, or major agencies. And so I say, don't let that hold you back. It all depends on what you want, the size of your business. You want employees, you want subcontractors, you want, what is your vision for what you want to create in this lifetime? And also, a lot of entrepreneurs that I speak to, it's really also about lifestyle. Is you want to build a business around your lifestyle, or vice versa? Most people are allowing their business to be all consuming, and then they fit around the perimeters and kind of a lifestyle. But it's a choice. We get to decide.
Amazing. Permission again. It's so
Yeah,
simple yet so almost profound at the same time. It's
we miss it. Sometimes we miss it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think your what you say there about building your business around your life
Mm.
is is really it's a great way to think about what a business should be. Is that something that you have, like when you first set out on this journey? Did you set out with that idea, or did you just kind of get clients, create a business, and then slowly start to work out how that business could wrap around your life rather than it being your life?
Well, I in Chinese astrology, I'm a horse, a fire horse. And so people that know me well, including my partner, Christopher, I think you've met, will tell you I'm like a racehorse, and I can be a bit of a workaholic. So in an ideal world, yeah, I would have this amazing lifestyle with my business built around it. At the same time, there are times where, like, I have seasons where, like spring and fall is speaker season, is event season, and then I've got courses, and I've got interviews, and I've got brand ambassador work and clients to serve. And it's like, oh my gosh, here we are, later in the year. And I said I was going to book a week in Hawaii. Why have I not booked a week in Hawaii yet? I really need to take a proper holiday. And it's like, just again, that kind of like day to day, month to month, making sure you're being deliberate in how you plan your business and your life and what's important to you. Because I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. At the same time, there are moments when I mentioned earlier about, unpacking a suitcase. Yeah, again, I'm like, why am I doing this? Oh yeah, I want to make a difference in people's lives. And it's time to book a vacation. So
Do you find that
um,
do you ever feel like that resistance when you're maybe speaking on stage? And the reason I ask this question is because there's a few speaker friends that I've spoken to, and I felt this sometimes before, where they kind of joke about like, "Oh, I'm off to fly to speak at this event. I don't really mind if the flight gets cancelled," because they kind of almost feel this resistance about doing something like speaking on stage. Do you ever feel that, or is it kind of very natural and something that you just let?
never know. Again, it comes back. It's that same part of myself that refuses to delegate my voice. It's like a commitment. It's integrity. It's like, if I've given my word, I've signed a contract, I've been paid. Come hell or high water, I will get there and I will blow them away and I will over deliver. And no matter how I feel, I've never ever canceled on anybody, and I never would. Um, the feeling part of it would more be back to that self-care piece I'm saying, where like I might have grand plans to attend the evening functions or attend some of the sessions or go to a speaker party. But there's times when I'm like, nope, I'm going to my number. And I'd say that to myself, Mari, you over deliver 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is on that stage. And that is it. If you just deliver on that, everything else is, gravy, as they call it. What I do as well, though, Gavin, is I have never been one of those. They're literally called parachute speakers, where they will literally drop in, they'll fly in the morning of, immediately they get off stage, have no time to talk or interact with anybody, and they're on the next plane, on to the next, event. Never done that. I give myself the gift of coming in like a day early. I'll hang out. I give myself, especially if it's overseas, I'm going to go like 2 days early and get myself my body clock on, caught up with the jet lag and things like that. So Again, this is self-care. It's like honoring yourself and honoring your commitments. I mean, don't even bother saying yes to anything unless you can follow through and keep your commitments.
I love that. Blow them away. I think that's the perfect way to end the show. Mary, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you for this short but sweet little interview here. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
along.
My
Tell
pleasure.
everyone where they can find you, watch your lives because they're amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Where
you
can
so
everyone
much.
find out more about Mary Smith?
So I go live quite a bit on my Facebook page, and that's just facebook.com/Mari Smith. And then Instagram is @Mari_Smith, Twitter @Mari Smith, and MariSmith.com is my website. And as I like to say, just Google me.
Amazing. Mary, thank you so much. Hey team, me again, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the video version of the podcast. And I hope you took something away from that. Maybe a smile, maybe something of inspiration, or maybe an idea came to your mind. Be sure to drop me a comment and let me know what that thing was for you. Now, if you want to listen to more or watch more episodes of the podcast, you can do that here on YouTube or Facebook, or head over to Apple Podcasts or the podcasting platform of your choice. Just be sure to hit subscribe, leave us a little review and a 5-star rating, and I will love you forever. See you in the next episode.